Picture this: a young prince whose rightful throne has been stolen, a quest for a legendary treasure that seems impossible to obtain, and a crew of the greatest heroes Greece has ever known. This is the story of Jason and the Argonauts, one of the most thrilling adventures in all of Greek mythology. Our tale begins in the kingdom of Iolcus, where a baby named Jason was born to King Aeson. But Jason's uncle Peleus had other plans for the throne. Through cunning and manipulation, Peleus seized power and forced his brother from the throne. To protect baby Jason from his uncle's wrath, the infant was secretly spirited away to Mount Pelion. There he was raised by Chiron, the wisest of all centaurs. For 20 years, Jason learned the arts of war leadership and wisdom under Chiron's guidance. When Jason finally came of age, Chiron revealed his true identity and royal heritage. Armed with this knowledge, Jason set out to reclaim his father's kingdom. But, on his journey to Iolcus, Jason encountered an old woman struggling to cross a raging river. Without hesitation, the young hero carried her across on his back, losing one of his sandals in the muddy waters. Little did Jason know, this was actually the goddess Hera in disguise, testing his character. Impressed by his kindness, Hera decided to become Jason's protector and guide. When Jason finally arrived in Iolcus wearing only one sandal, King Peleus was terrified. Years earlier, an oracle had warned Peleus to beware a man who would come wearing only one sandal. Recognizing the threat to his stolen crown, Peleus devised a cunning plan. He would send Jason on an impossible quest, one that would surely result in the young prince's death. "If you truly are of royal blood," Peleus declared, "then prove it by bringing me the Golden Fleece." The Golden Fleece was the hide of a magical ram, hanging from a sacred oak tree in the distant land of Colchis. It was guarded by a sleepless dragon that had never closed its eyes. Most believed the quest was suicide, but Jason accepted the challenge without hesitation. To accomplish this impossible task, Jason would need the greatest heroes Greece could offer. First came Hercules, the strongest man alive, fresh from completing several of his famous labors. Orpheus joined next, the legendary musician whose songs could charm wild beasts and move stones to tears. The twin brothers Castor and Pollux brought their unmatched skills in boxing and horsemanship. Atalanta, the fierce huntress who could outrun any man, demanded to join the crew. In total, 50 heroes answered Jason's call, and they became known as the Argonauts. For their vessel, they commissioned the ship Argo, built with wood from the sacred forests of Dodona. The goddess Athena herself blessed the ship and installed a speaking beam from Zeus's oracle in the prow. When the Argo was complete, Jason and his heroes set sail from Iolcus toward the unknown. Their first stop was the island of Lemnos, inhabited only by women who had killed all their men. The Argonauts stayed longer than planned, enjoying the hospitality of Queen Hypsipyle and her subjects. Eventually, Hercules grew impatient and reminded the crew of their true mission. The Argo sailed on to the land of the Doliones, ruled by the young King Cyzicus. The king welcomed them as guests, but tragedy struck when they departed in the cover of darkness. Blown back to shore by fierce winds, the Argonauts were mistaken for pirates and attacked by their former hosts. In the chaos, Jason unknowingly killed King Cyzicus, realizing his terrible mistake only at dawn. Stricken with guilt, the Argonauts held funeral games in the king's honor before continuing their journey. Their next challenge came in Mysia, where Hercules' beloved companion, Hylas, was kidnapped by water nymphs. Hercules and his friend Polyphemus searched frantically, but the Argo was forced to sail without them. The loss of their strongest hero was devastating, but the quest had to continue. In the land of Bebrikos, the Argonauts encountered King Amycus, who challenged all visitors to boxing matches. Pollux accepted the challenge and defeated the tyrant king, freeing his oppressed people. As they approached the Bosphorus Strait, the Argonauts faced their greatest navigational challenge yet. The clashing rocks, called the Symplegades, would smash together whenever anything tried to pass through. Following the advice of the seer Phineas, they released a dove to test the passage. The bird made it through, losing only its tail feathers to the crushing rocks. Seizing their moment, the Argonauts rowed with all their strength as the rocks began to close again. They barely escaped, losing only the tip of their stern ornament to the grinding stone. Finally, after months of sailing and countless adventures, they reached the kingdom of Colchis. King Aeetes ruled this distant land, and he was not pleased to see Greek heroes on his shores. When Jason explained their quest for the Golden Fleece, Aeetes agreed, but with impossible conditions. Jason must yoke 2 fire-breathing bronze bulls and use them to plow a field. Then he must sow the field with dragon's teeth and defeat the warriors that would spring from the earth. These tasks seemed impossible, but Jason had an unexpected ally watching from the shadows. Medea, the king's daughter and a powerful sorceress, had fallen deeply in love with the Greek hero. Torn between loyalty to her father and her passion for Jason, she chose love over blood. In secret, she gave Jason a magical ointment that would protect him from fire and bronze. She also told him the secret to defeating the Earthborn warriors. The next morning, Jason faced the bronze bulls, their breath scorching the air around them. Protected by Medea's magic, he grabbed their horns and forced the mighty creatures to submit. He hitched them to a plow and furrowed the sacred field as King Aeetes watched in amazement. When he sowed the dragon's teeth, armed warriors immediately sprouted from the soil like deadly crops. Following Medea's advice, Jason threw a stone among them, causing the warriors to fight each other instead. Soon, all the Earthborn soldiers had destroyed themselves, leaving Jason victorious. But King Aeetes had no intention of honoring their agreement. That night, he planned to burn the Argo and kill all the Greek heroes while they slept. Medea discovered her father's treachery and rushed to warn Jason of the impending attack. Together they crept to the sacred grove where the Golden Fleece hung from its ancient oak. The massive dragon coiled around the tree's base had never slept, its eyes burning like coals. Medea used her most powerful magic, singing an enchantment that finally closed the dragon's ancient eyes. As the great beast slumbered for the first time in centuries, Jason claimed his prize. With the fleece in hand and Medea by his side, Jason and the Argonauts fled into the night. But their troubles were far from over, as King Aeetes and his fleet pursued them across the sea. In desperation, Medea committed an unthinkable act to slow their pursuers. She had brought her young brother Absyrtus with them, and now she killed him, scattering his remains in the sea. Her father's fleet stopped to collect the pieces for proper burial, allowing the Argo to escape. The return journey was long and perilous, filled with new challenges and supernatural threats. But eventually, Jason and his surviving heroes returned triumphantly to Iolcus with their prize. Jason presented the Golden Fleece to his uncle, expecting to claim his rightful throne at last. But Peleus refused to step down, having grown comfortable in his stolen power. Medea, now Jason's wife, would not let this betrayal stand unpunished. Using her dark arts, she convinced Peleus's own daughters that they could restore their father's youth. Following her instructions, they killed their father, believing they were saving him. But Jason felt no triumph in this hollow victory, gained through such terrible means. He and Medea were banished from Iolcus and went to live in Corinth instead. For 10 years, they lived together and had 2 sons. But Jason's heart grew distant. Eventually, Jason decided to divorce Medea to marry Glaus, the king of Corinth's daughter. This betrayal transformed Medea's love into a rage that would consume everything she held dear. She sent a poisoned crown and robe to Jason's new bride, killing both Glaus and her father. But Medea's revenge was not complete, and she committed the most horrible act imaginable. She killed her own children to ensure Jason would suffer as she had suffered. Jason was left with nothing. His glory faded, his family destroyed, his kingdom lost. In the end, he died when a piece of his old ship fell and crushed him, a forgotten hero. The story of Jason reminds us that even the greatest quests can end in tragedy, and that the price of glory is often higher than we ever imagine.